What's up, everyone? It's the Machine of Nonsense. It's episode 2. That is twice as good as episode 1 because it's 2 and not 1. I am Eric, and I am joined by my co-host, Kayla.
Hello.
And also cast members Tomas.
Hey, what's up?
And Aaron.
Hello.
So like I said, it's episode 2. If you haven't listened to episode 1 yet, go ahead and check it out. It's our introduction podcast. We did top 5 lists of all of our favorite things. We had a lot of fun. It's a little on the long side, so, strap in. It's about an hour and a half, but it's a lot of fun, and it really lets you get to know the cast members. We did have some slight audio issues in that podcast that I want to apologize for. We've since upgraded a lot of our software and our hardware, for that matter. And we're also learning here, so it's going to be better going forward. I can definitely tell you that. So what today's episode is about, it's what I like to call a B-side episode. We are going to kind of go into breaking news, some things in the industries that we cover, video games, movies, and TVs. All TVs, just all of the TVs. We have
Tube TVs, flat.
Yeah, multiple TVs. So that's what we're going to do, and but we're going to start with just kind of a little roundtable discussion on what everyone is currently into. So Tomas, start us off. What are you doing lately?
I am currently still stuck in the past. I am nuzlocking Pokemon Gold right now. As far as video games, that's probably where I struggle a little bit most on keeping up with. But I've been watching WandaVision hard. I'm really excited to talk about that. I've been brushing up on the comics and just make sure if I start talking too much about House of M and turn this into an X-Men podcast, you guys might want to derail me. But
I'd be into that. So
yeah, definitely. But other than that, just kind of working, paying the tax man back, and as far as media, pretty much just shit for the podcast. You guys are like getting my finger back on the pulse of society, which isn't bad. I'm kind of excited. So.
Awesome. How about Kayla?
I am still playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We're about 80 hours in. Lately, I've definitely gotten to the point where I just want to finish it. I just want to know what's happening and be done with it and move on. But we recently got an Xbox, the current gen. So we've just been looking through Game Pass pretty much and downloading a bunch of stuff and haven't fully dived in yet. But we also been watching WandaVision. Excited about that. This last episode was nice. Pulled it all together. I enjoyed it a lot.
How about you, Aaron?
I've been playing Divinity 2. I've got like about 80 hours in it right now. I love it. So I think like when I'm done, I either might go, because I also have Spider-Man, Miles Morales waiting to be played. So I might jump into that when I'm done, or I might just jump straight into another playthrough of Divinity 2. I also just watched all of WandaVision, so I'm pretty excited about that. That's good. Oh,
Nice. So you said about 80 hours in. Kayla's also 80 hours into Valhalla. But you're a little more positive on 80 hours into Divinity 2 than maybe Kayla is on Valhalla.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, like I've got like 100 and something hours in Valhalla, so I know exactly what she's talking about. I didn't even finish the story. I did all the side stuff, and then I was like, the story's kind of boring, and I stopped playing.
Gotcha.
So I might go back
into the story.
I was so burnt out on because it's the same thing. I got burnt out on the gameplay, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play something else right now.
I feel you. Yeah.
What are you playing, Eric?
Yeah, so I'm also kind of playing Valhalla. We're switching the sticks back and forth, and also picked up Hollow Knight. Like Kayla said, we've been diving into Game Pass, and got about maybe an hour into Hollow Knight. It's catching me. Not
it's really
normally,
cute.
Yeah, like 2D side, not really side scroller, but 2D platformer. Kind of basic controls, at least in the beginning. Not normally my like go-to experience, but it definitely has some early Bloodborne kind of feel to it. We'll see where it goes from there, but kind of digging it. Really wanting to get in, and then the Medium also when that came out. Immediately downloaded that. Pretty excited initially. Got about 2 hours in at this point. I'll touch on it in up next, but yeah, I'm a little wishy-washy on it at this point. We'll get into the details on that. But yeah, so now we'll go to our specific discussions. We got a couple things that we definitely want to get to. Everyone mentioned WandaVision, so I think that's a great place to start. We're all caught up, right? We're 4 episodes in at this point. Yeah. So definitely, I want to keep this spoiler free. In nature, we can once the series is completed, we can do a full spoiler cast. I think that'd be great. But what's everyone's initial impressions after four episodes? How about Aaron started off?
When you get to episode 4, then by then you like love it. For me, at first, as much as I like the whole like old sitcom feel, I thought the show was really like slow. When you say like no spoilers, like well, there's no story development until episode 4 anyway. So like. But I'm a big fan of the open-faced cheese sandwich they made in a toaster. I thought that was awesome. And the boss saying that he doesn't break bread with Bolsheviks I laughed and laughed and laughed at that. So, but for the most part, I really, really like it. I like how different it is. Where it's like the same characters, but not. They've been kind of changed a little, I think. But it's really good so far.
Yeah.
I'm not happy that it's not more than 4 episodes right now, but
the thing I notice a lot is with Vision, and you even said they kind of changed a little bit. Vision is like this flamboyant, very expressive and playful and cheerful, and I think he's really enjoying the spotlight. You know, when you're in Avengers, there's 20 other main characters trying to get story time as well, so it's been nice to see them flourish in that.
But it's hard to know which what's him being Vision and what's him being a 50s sitcom husband,
right?
Because like so much of that's that, and then you can see, I don't want to, again, no spoilers, but like when it winds down, and it zooms in on his face because it's actually Vision, you get the sense that maybe he's not actually acting that way. Like that's not really who he is. So like it's kind of up there. The only thing I've really noticed is they've for the show they've really like at random points their powers are really nerfed. Like Vision only can go through things, and then other points it's like not really consistent on what they can actually do power wise.
That's kind of been the thing with the Marvel movies in general. They haven't had an idea of what to do with Wanda or Vision, like in Avengers, in any of them. It seems like they have to constantly. I don't know them from the comics, but just like,
oh boy,
like.
I mean,
from what I've heard, they're like all powerful and everything else. They're some of the most powerful beings and everything else, and you don't really get that from any of the Marvel movies at this point, and as of yet, really. From WandaVision either, I would say.
You could only do so much in the movies, man. I mean, you're talking about an adaptation of a comic book. Like, you got characters like World Breaker Hulk, who like literally can like destroy worlds, and like you're talking about gods and shit. But God, it's gonna be hard talking about this for me without spoiling anything. Because I have more questions than I have answers, mainly just because I know about the comics and I know about the characters. There's the whole idea of like Marvel, the MCU hasn't even introduced mutants into their continuity yet because they didn't own the X-Men rights for the longest time.
Right.
Uh,
I was hoping
so I'm
they'd make her
curious.
and they doubled down on the Sokovian thing.
Yeah, but
Like,
it's
they might
kind of weird.
retcon it.
Well, are you guys familiar with the House of M event in
Not
comics?
really. I mean,
No.
I've seen like I watched an Easter egg video of like, oh, here's WandaVision, here's all the Easter eggs in WandaVision, and it mentioned like, yeah, House of M, and there's references in the show, but not knowing what House of M is or that like comic line. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. It's a reference to that. Great,
Okay, well, I'll give you like a TLDR on that. So essentially, a lot of things happen before it, but like they want to get rid of Wanda because of her powers being too strong, and they're fearful. She has reality warping powers in the comics, and they're afraid she's like an Omega level mutant. She's a threat to the world, and she's kind of insane. So like Charles Xavier and like Magneto are all about like we need to do something about this. Pietro, her brother, is like, yo, Magneto, you can't do this. She's your daughter. You can't kill her. He's like, what would you have me do, boy? Kill everybody who comes to the doorstep of Genosha? And so Pietro tells her, is like, hey, you can fix all this. And she just creates a new reality. And eventually it leads down to a point where, like, she loses it after, like, it's because it's pretty long. But, Magneto and everybody finds out that they're in an altered reality. Magneto gets super pissed off at Quicksilver, and Wanda just freaks out, and she's like, that's it. We're done with mutants. Buy all the pants in the world, burn them. We're done with pants. And 98% of the mutants on the planet just lose all their powers. It was kind of like a Marvel like hard reboot of the X-Men series, so that they can focus more on characters. But like I said, the key component to that is the fact that mutants exist.
Yeah.
They don't exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or they just haven't been like given this platform. The characters exist from like the X-Men, but like they're not like mutants. They're
it's like a retelling,
meta humans.
Doctor
Yeah,
Strange to come up in there.
yeah, meta humans.
I think it's cool that they can pull those elements. I think they're already doing that, obviously. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say, the reality that they're showing in WandaVision through the first 4 episodes is not quite what it seems. So I think they're definitely pulling heavily from that, but they can take their own spin on it and do something cool. And I think there's enough there where they can still satisfy the comic book fans who are looking for, like you said, House of M and all of that, but also like me, who I have no idea. I vaguely know who Wanda and Vision are just from the MCU movies. I like their characters and their powers and stuff from that. But if they don't touch on every little bit of the comic books, I'm cool, because I just coming into it completely without any kind of background on that.
I don't think they could honestly do everything from the comic books. That's asking a little bit much. And honestly, they touch on a lot of things that are still in there. The Vision and the Wanda thing obviously was a thing. They do have kids. Well, sorry, am I not supposed to say anything about the show or like what happens? We're on like episode 4.
Not heavy spoilers.
Okay, well, so far, like things I've seen, there are little nuances. There's a lot of questions about certain things that I'm curious to see how they unfold, because some wild shit happens with these characters in the comics. Some things have been retconned. Some things have been retold. Marvel's kind of weird with their continuity in that way.
Yeah.
If you know the difference between DC and Marvel, it's DC will just do hard reboots, and Marvel tends to do like stories that just change the landscape, like where they'll like literally just destroy the multiverse and recreate it. And that's their big thing though, the multiverse. So that's where you get like your Miles Morales Spider-Mans from, and it's like multiple versions of like the same character.
It seems like they're taking their biggest swing on all of that in this. What is this, phase 4, right, of the MCU? I mean, WandaVision alone, kind of some of the things that they're doing, or at least like teasing out that they might do with reality and with all of that, and then the rumors that we have for the next Spider-Man, the next Doctor Strange. Seems like they're really going in an interesting direction. So I like that WandaVision's kind of the kickoff of that less safe version of that.
They got a lot of ground to cover, brother. They got somehow to introduce the Fantastic Four, somehow to introduce characters from the X-Men. So they just got all that back. So
give it to me. I'll keep watching it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, they gotta lay groundwork and they gotta make sure that they do it right. It's like, where the fuck's Fantastic Four? Yeah, where's Fantastic Four been this whole entire time? But if you read Fantastic Four, they tend to be just like traveling around the universe and shit. That's how they always write them off in the stories too, because Marvel purposely went out of their way to like not use them when they lost that intelligent property, so they didn't want to develop them in the comics. So there's like, oh, they're just off doing stuff in the universe. We're not talking about them right now. So
it'll be an interesting needle that they have to thread, because you've seen it with like Captain Marvel, for example. They had to figure out a way. Okay, what was she doing for 20 years? And some of it works, some of it doesn't. So you're going to have to kind of do the same thing with, like you said, Fantastic Four, X-Men, anything you want to add that's not already there. You're gonna really have to like I said, thread that needle. So
I think Fantastic Four is bad. Fantastic Four, they just have to have them get their powers after the fact. Like they just have to have the event later, like push it back. The X-Men are going to be harder to explain, because the X-Men are something that's supposed to have always been a civil rights issue, and like, they're supposed to have always existed and be causing problems. It's going to be hard to be like, oh yeah, these guys have been here this whole time. And even though most of them seem to live in New York while the whole city was being attacked, none of them came to help.
Yeah, for real.
So
but again, like,
harder to explain, I think.
Yeah. Like, the X-Men have always gotten the shit end of the deal in the comics too, because, well, they are the civil rights, like, issue, like in comic book form. They always have been. If you ever read God Loves, Man Kills, it's a good story, like I think from like the 80s or something, but it deals a lot, like they dropped the N-bomb in that comic. Like, yeah, they're talking about Kitty Pryde and she's getting like harassed and stuff, and she's talking to Storm's like, what if they called you an N-word? How would you feel about that? Isn't it the same thing? Some, like the whole mutant, like the mutants have always gotten the shit end of the deal. How do you like force them in, without that controversy already being there?
Yeah, they might even. I mean, there's not even a guarantee that they're going to be right in with the MCU. They could easily do a side story that's not connected, and I think people will eat it up as long as it's big budget, with that Disney, Marvel, touch of paint and everything. You can just have a standalone X-Men, maybe even work it in only to the Sony properties as well.
Don't forget about Deadpool.
Right, that exactly. The Sony, like Deadpool, the Sony properties, or Spider-Man, work it in some kind of way, just on the side, maybe. But yeah. So I definitely like the direction we're going with WandaVision. But speaking of TV, I did want to touch on a couple other things. There were more so rumors, but pretty heavy rumors. To shows an animated, in anime style Tomb Raider, as well as a Harry Potter series for HBOMax.
Is that supposed to be live action? The Harry Potter?
I don't think there's been details. Was there, Aaron?
Yeah, they've said this whole time it's going to be a live action Harry Potter show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware what form. Yeah, I think
don't
that's
know
the best way to go.
Harry Potter is in the world, but yeah,
right.
Maybe different time period, like they've done with Fantastic Beasts, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, they're going to want to continue to expand that world. I think the Fantastic Beasts movies did fairly well, maybe not to the level of Harry Potter fandom and everything else, but it's not like that franchise by any means is dying or anything, and so you got to take advantage. And I'm a big fan. I mean, the whole idea of this podcast is the way the different mediums are changing. Harry Potter is either seen as a book series to some people or a movie series or both, and then now moving into television
and video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, less so.
Lego Harry Potter is the best Lego game.
Ooh. Yeah, those Lego games hold up.
Yeah. So I like that diffusion there. And then with the Tomb Raider animated series, I think that's got some great legs. Some of the Tomb... yeah.
That's why they did it anime.
Yep, the big one.
I know what Lara Croft looks like.
That was not purposeful, but I meant legs in the sense that I think that might be the best way to do a Tomb Raider. Some of the adaptations have not worked to film at this point, and if they take the same road as the Castlevania anime, if anyone's checked that out on Netflix, I mean, if they go that's very, if anyone hasn't, so it's an adaptation of the Castlevania video game. I personally have no connection, never played a Castlevania game, but I thoroughly enjoyed the show. It's hyper violent, the animation's really good, the storylines are a lot of fun. Oh, and our 5th cast member, Lilu. For anyone watching the video, one of our cats just jumped in. I think there's a lot to go with that. What do you guys think of an animated Lara Croft?
It's better. I always thought the live action was super cheesy, and even most of the depictions of Lara Croft outside of the games have always been cheesy, and honestly, they just focus on her physical attributes and ignore anything to do with her actual story.
So anime is going to definitely highlight that.
Right, but I think they'll also highlight she's skilled at what she does and all that, and I think it'd be cool to see. And I haven't really played too many Tomb Raider games since I was young, so for the original PlayStation.
Oh, you didn't play the new ones?
No, I didn't think they looked good, so I didn't want to play them.
Oh, wow.
They're good.
Savage.
Yeah, they're good.
I agree.
I don't know if have you checked out the Uncharted games at all, Aaron?
No, I've never played those either.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you like those, I feel like you'd like. It's just like a female-led Uncharted for the most part. I mean, Nate in the Uncharted games is a little more happy-go-lucky, whereas Lara is a little more downtrodden.
Haunted.
Haunted's a great term. Yeah. But really, I mean, visually they're really good. The graphics are fantastic on those games, and they control pretty
puzzles.
well. Yeah.
Puzzles are fun.
Yeah, solid puzzles, solid kind of medium-size open world type games. So we can move into. I mentioned to touch on the medium. I jumped into that.
Or the large.
I noticed before I jumped in that it was sitting right around the 70s on Metacritic, and most other reviews were kind of in the middle, and that's kind of been my experience as well. I mentioned earlier that I was really excited because I'm a big fan of horror games. It's a survival horror-esque game, and definitely in its trailers and all the little information that came out initially, it definitely seemed to be in the vein of a Resident Evil, a Silent Hill, that type of thing. 2 hours in, it's a little less than that. It's definitely not an action game. There's very little combat in it. Almost none. You're more so, you've got some defensive spells, let's say. The atmosphere is really good. It has a fixed camera, similar to the original Resident Evils. I think the original Silent Hills kind of had fixed
Yeah.
camera as
For
well.
Silent Hill, yeah.
Yeah, so that definitely lends to the environment, and it lends to the control scheme is it doesn't have tank controls like the original Resident Evils, but having that fixed camera angle and having to adjust to that to adjust your movement definitely gives you the feel that you're not all powerful, you're not easy, like super, it's not easy to run around the environments and those type of things. You're just a person. The overall conceit is that you're a woman who can see both the real world.
Medium.
Yeah, you're a medium, right? So you can see the
Spirit
real world
world.
and the spirit world. And how this is kind of flushed out is it goes into split screen all the time, and you'll see both. You'll see the real world and the spirit world, and you have to interact with various puzzles and things in one world or the other, and see how they affect each other. So Kayla, you were also watching while I was playing. What were your impressions?
I think at first seeing the split screen is pretty cool, and I know that you interact with things in both worlds at the same time, but it does make it hard to know where to look. You know, I can't think of an example, but when you would go into a different world, let's say in anything else, it would just change full screen and you would do what you needed to do there. It hasn't seemed like the split screen has given us too much that you have to do in the same, but it just makes it a little extra challenging for me.
It's kind of one of those weird things where the TV or the screen that you're playing it through, I think, may end up mattering a lot. We've been playing it on our living room TV, which is a fairly large, like, widescreen TV, and I do wonder on a computer monitor, something a little smaller, if going into that split screen would be easier to parse.
Yeah, probably.
I almost wonder. So it's kind of a weird thing. Most games you don't really have to think about that type of thing, and having a larger...
Not anymore, because you don't play co-op.
Right.
Ooh, yeah. Play some GoldenEye.
On a smaller screen, in this sense, it's actually better, as opposed to, for most games you can think of, it would be... it's ideal to have the largest screen possible, that type of thing.
You're stuck in it again.
I had a few comments about this one. Obviously, I haven't played the game. I don't got the big dick energy money to be buying new Xboxes, so I watched a review on this, just a quick little 8-minute thing. So I understand the concept of the split worlds, interacting in other worlds, and changing the main world. I don't know if you guys are familiar with an old DOS game. It was called Darkseed.
No.
It was kind of like a horror click, and like one of those kind of like a King's Quest kind of point and click game where it's very esoteric, and you just kind of explore. Every other thing you click on kills you, kind of interactive game. Cool little side note: all the artwork for the game was done by H.R. Geiger, so very, very, very phallic in nature. But
yeah, great.
But anyway,
Right.
but
Checks all my
the
butt.
main concept behind the game was that you have this dream about having some alien implanted in your head, and you wake up with a headache, and the main course of it is to discover what's going on, with these aliens, and there's this alternate universe, and you go into this alternate universe, and shit that you mess around with in there affects shit in the main universe. So it was the first minute of this review that I saw, and I saw this split screen thing, it immediately reminded me of that. It's two different worlds, you interact with one to affect the other. So not exactly the most original idea, in that that, and is I feel like it takes on a lot of tropes, like you mentioned, the Silent Hill thing. It's I don't know, trying to drive a little too much on nostalgia.
So yeah, speaking of nostalgia and survival horror, Resident Evil 8, they just dropped a ton of footage, a demo what are you guys thinking about all of that footage and the demo, the trailers they showed? It seems like they're really playing kind of off of Resident Evil 4.
I mean, it's a good direction to go in. Resident Evil 4, in my opinion, is the best Resident Evil they've come out with.
Yeah, gameplay wise, even the inventory system, it looks like they just completely copied number 4, and then said, "Oh, they can also craft things, so it's not the same inventory system, but it's." So that aspect
You
of
could
it
craft a lot in 7, right? You crafted a lot in 7.
Yeah. So it seems like it's a hybrid of both. Maybe everyone loved the inventory of 4, and I like the crafting in 7. So yeah, it does seem like it's maybe a hybrid of the two.
Yeah, and 7 seemed like the people that they kind of lost in like 5 and 6 kind of came back on board when they got with 7. A lot of people felt like they went a little bit more back to grassroots, and I feel like it kind of brought up. Yeah, a lot of people enjoyed it in comparison to the shit show that 6 was. So
yeah, they definitely went. 6 is fun as just like a co-op silly action game, but I mean
it's an action movie.
Yeah, it's not a Resident Evil game. I mean, it's almost a Resident Evil Mila Jovovich movie game, right. Almost. Like I feel like that's the vibe they're going for. And 7 definitely was not that, and then 8 it definitely seems like they're going in that direction. What do you think of the supernatural aspects of it? I mean, up until even through 7, it's still been 7's called Biohazard. It's all biological,
pharmacology, and
technology, whatever. But like now, it seems like there's vampires, werewolves.
They move around like the demons from Supernatural.
Yeah. So do you think? Go on.
On a long enough timeline, do I think it was necessary to go that route? Probably not. But vampires have always been like this popular thing in media. I think like at some point down the pipeline, it was eventually going to get to that. But I mean, I love Castlevania.
But we'll see
vampires.
What happens. It might be part of the story.
Right. Well,
they might have an explanation for it.
The same feeling I got from seeing I don't know what they call those 3 women who do that. They're called the daughters or something like that. But I get the same feeling from when you first start playing whatever this latest Metal Gear Solid was, when that clearly went to jump from implied powers to just clearly supernatural.
Yeah,
it's just going from being implied to being okay. It's kind of in your face now, and I think it looks kind of cool. It looks fun.
Do you think they'll tie it together and try to pit make it that it's the virus has mutated and now
I'm sure they'll try for sure.
Yeah.
It's just evolution.
Said they might have an explanation. They might have an explanation.
Maybe.
Right, I'm sure they'll tie it in. I bet you the link is going to be weak, but the game is fun. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. I think if they go with the 7, like the combat and the feel, the visuals that 7 had, I mean, it was creepy. It was really good. It definitely was more of a survival horror than the series has been since 4. The early parts of 4, basically. I mean, as soon as midway through 4, you became kind of a zombie killing monster at that point. And
kick.
Yeah, 7, you were, undergunned at all times. So, I wonder if that'll be the case here, especially if you're facing kind of weirder beasts than you faced before.
Right, it looked like werewolves and kind of vampire-esque and giants and...
Giants.
Speaking of giants, Lady Dimitrescu, have you guys been following the fan art, let's say?
No, that sounds terrifying.
It's terrifying in multiple different ways. So Capcom actually released her height, and she's 9'6".
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. That's counting the hat. They said they were quick to.
Picture the hat doesn't come off. She's just cone head under there.
Who knows? It's a biological hat.
Yeah.
It's. But there's a lot of interesting fan art and interesting theories, I guess, about where she will where she'll play with Ethan, the main character.
Yeah, speaking of Ethan, I'm really excited to see the storyline further. I thought in 7, at the end, there's kind of like a whole surprise part of the story that I would like more answers to, because then it just felt like then you see Chris, and I want to know what Chris has to do with it. For me, I felt like I saw like familiarity between Ethan and Chris, and that could just be me totally off the wall seeing things, but I felt like there's more to the story that we don't know of their history.
Well, he clearly knew him. He was like, Chris. Like, he was calling him
Yeah,
by his name
like-
and asking him questions, so...
Yeah, I guess.
talk about the jacket?
I don't really remember.
The jacket?
Yeah, how Capcom is selling a Chris Redfield style jacket.
Oh boy, no, I wasn't aware of this. What are they doing?
I forget what the price was. I think it was something absurd, but like, yeah, they're trying to sell like the Chris Redfield jacket.
Wow.
Well, I want a Claire vest, so
Right. Jill Valentine shoes.
tube top. No, tube top.
I mean, it's an untapped market. So.
Yeah, Wesker's got some pretty sick shades, so I mean, I might buy some Wesker shades. You know,
I would
$5,000 Ray Bans. What's up?
Right. I don't know if Barry fits into it. So,
he's the Jill sandwich dude, right? Like that's his thing.
Could have been a Jill sandwich.
Maybe they'll sell a Jill sandwich or something.
I'd buy it.
I'm real excited though. I can't wait. May 7th is when it comes out, right?
Yeah,
So
I
soon?
think so.
That's real exciting.
Coming up.
right.
Yeah. Mike was just complaining about all the release dates back to back.
Yeah, yeah.
His birthday is
Mass
the
Effect comes out
8th, so
May
I think he's
14th,
gonna get a couple days off. Like Resident Evil, be nice.
Pokemon Snap.
Put in vacation time, take the week.
Might have to take the month between Mass Effect, Resident Evil, and Pokemon Snap. Like that's a month, man. That's
I guess in the Mass Effect corner, it isn't a new game, but I've watched some of the remastered videos, like what it looks like in the old version versus what it looks like in the new one, and it just looks amazing. Whereas,
Yeah.
like the original Mass Effect, it looks like they did the whole hide stuff that they didn't want to put detail on in darkness. Everything's like lit up and looks beautiful in the remastered one. So
I'm really excited because I never touched Mass Effect.
I've never either.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I love
Mass
me a
Effect is-
beautiful remastered version of it. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Right, with all the extras and whatever thrown in there that got released over time for everybody else.
And I liked
Better
I was like
controls.
the one person I think in the world who enjoyed Andromeda. I only played a couple like hours of it. But
I had a good 50 or 60 hours of it. I like the one player. I just don't like the whole mission table aspect or the multiplayer like online like versus things. So
oh yeah, I didn't mess with any of that. I got maybe like 3-4 hours into it, but I was like, oh, seems like it could be good. And I think I had rented it or something and just like returned
it's
it.
good.
But
the gameplay's really good. The story's like it went in a good direction. It's so far removed from the original 3. It's like a difference of thousands of years or hundreds of years. So, but it's really good. I liked it a lot.
yeah, so that's exciting. That's gonna be a heck of a May.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But shifting gears a little bit, we did initially intend to do kind of a deep dive into The Little Things. We recently watched that on HBOMax. It's on HBOMax and also in theaters right now. It's a Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto thriller, kind of akin to Seven. We're gonna actually hold that off till episode 4 because Mike, our fellow cast member, is really excited to talk about it. So Kayla and I will give our thoughts at that point, but hopefully people will go and check that out because it's definitely at least worth talking about, and Mike's really excited. But just wanted to touch on that. That'll be episode 4, and then transition into GameStonks. What?
Stonks.
GameStonks. unfortunately, looking at the GameStonks as of right now, looks like we're only sitting at about 90 a share at this point.
Right.
Yeah, from a
So much of $4 from 2 weeks ago.
exactly. How closely?
It's crazy.
How closely were you guys following that whole, when it was, a couple days ago, really, really hot and heavy?
I followed it enough to put enough effort into understanding how the stock market works to some extent.
See, it was an educational moment.
Absolutely. I know that I learned what short selling is. I learned that
I think a lot of people did. I truly do.
It's got to be one of the highest Google terms.
Oh god, yeah.
Right.
I just know I was literally
people lost money.
I was laying in bed and Eric woke me up like, "Oh my god, the GameStop stock is whatever crazy amount." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." And then it just blew up from there.
Yeah, I was following the trend. I mean, I don't go on Reddit or anything else, but I'm pretty online. So when it was hitting like $70, $80 from like $3, I was already looking at that. Holy crap! Thinking, whatever, this is fun, but someone's gonna figure it out. These hedge funds are gonna figure it out, or anything else. And then a day later, we're sitting at 300, and then 450, at literally to where these trading platforms were
shutting down.
Yeah,
that's a huge controversy right there too.
What Robinhood's claiming is because they can no longer afford to front for the stocks. The clearinghouses were requiring 3 times the amount it would take to actually purchase the stocks, and they ultimately would have had to pay forth $3 billion, which they weren't liquid enough to do.
I'd have to see that fine print.
Or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people keep $3 billion, in their back pocket, even big corporations.
Trading corporations whose job is to literally do that.
Yeah, you'd hope so, but
Right, and then that's even the biggest problem. The next day, then they took 50 different stocks that they weren't being required to put that much security into, and limiting them all to between 1 and 5 shares per person buying them.
Yeah.
But they removed those restrictions when they got called out for trying to manipulate the market.
Yeah, Josh, our fellow cast member, actually ran into that when it was really, I think, at about maybe $100. He tried to jump in, and he got blocked. I don't know. He kept trying, and I know he was thinking about getting in on that class action. I think there's several class action suits, but I don't know where he's at with that. But he was literally only trying to get 5% of a single stock, because I mean, it still would have been money, I think.
Right.
But yeah, they were really.
He'd be sitting on a hot $40 right now.
Hey! I mean, for if you know Josh,
I mean, it is nice. The people who are, at least the one story that we all know is that college kid, I think he was 20, 21 years old, hit real big, bought hundreds of Switches and donated them to a children's hospital. So it's nice to see there was educational all around for everybody learning how stock market works, and kids got free stuff to play with at the hospital, because why don't they?
And billionaires lost money, which is what's really
absolutely
yeah. I mean,
distribution of wealth.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Thanks to me.
And it seems like it's being, I mean, I'm sure every story isn't coming out, but the stories that are coming out are so positive. I mean, yeah, like Kayla said, the guy who bought all the Switches for the children's hospital, there's tons of stories all over the internet now of people paying off their medical bills, paying off student loans, things like this. So it's really been positive, aside from hedge funds, which, hey, I'm not going to feel sorry for. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, then they bought positions larger than the company even had, didn't they? And that's part of the reason they lost so much.
Yeah, I mean,
120%.
Yeah, I'm not a day trader or really in the stock market much at all, but that, from everything I'm reading, that's just a daily occurrence. That's what these people are doing. They're gambling on these shorts, and that's what it is. It's a casino, and that's the funny thing is, when it was when there was pushback from the media and everything else about these Reddit traders and all this, that's what they kept saying. Oh, they're playing it like a casino. They're playing it like a casino, but
It is a casino.
That's exactly what.
It's illegal gambling. That's all the stock market is, and they try to play this game the same way for so long, and somebody caught on and they got played. Like, congratulations, rich people, you played yourself. And that's it's the long and short of
What
it.
they're real upset about is that the people on Reddit, they're buying the stock. It's not based on any performance from the company. So, you guys don't go on Reddit. I spend a lot of time on Reddit, and there's memes all the time where they're just supporting stocks just because they like the company.
Wait. You're saying GameStop is not doing well?
No, yeah. $2 a share a month ago. So, but so like that and BlackBerry, and they were talking about Blockbuster if it was still trading, and
MC was another one.
So like when Robinhood tried to explain themselves, what they actually did, if you don't go on Reddit, but you can buy ads which just look like posts on the all or the top or like the front page of the internet. That's what the Reddit's called.
Yeah.
So it looks like a post and it's from Robinhood, but it's not allowing comments, and it's like trying to explain their position. And one common meme in Wall Street Bets is that they're sending the GameStop stock to the moon. And everybody just kept putting different, like they had the rocket emoji all over that post because they just hate Robinhood now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good time to be on Reddit.
Yeah, dug themselves a hole.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope the people who, it has dropped precipitously from the heights. I just hope people are, if there are people on the stock still that are struggling with bills and stuff like that, and they're hoping that it continues to go up. Hope they get out while they can, because
it's definitely not a well-performing stock.
Yeah, just because I don't care about the hedge funds, but if someone is seeing these great stories of people buying switches for hospitals and stuff, and they go broke trying to do the same thing, that would be a big tragedy. So hopefully they figure that all out.
Give it a week, the media will play that up.
Right. Anyway, they saved AMC. They injected enough money that they're no longer on the verge of bankruptcy, even though their shares have fallen back down. But one of their main investors, once the shares went up, sold off all their shares. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see the long-term effects of all this. We already mentioned the education that came of it. All kinds of people are probably who would have never touched the stock market or anything. They're gonna be doing that for better and for worse. And then now, this may fundamentally change what these hedge funds are doing, because they've kind of been found out at this point. It's the biggest. It's on news in the morning. GameStop stock is on the local news constantly,
all over social media.
So you're getting people from Reddit to 70-year-olds watching the morning news like me, learning about what's going on with this kind of shady stuff that's been going on, and ways to kind of stick it to them using their own tools. So it'll be interesting to see, does that just not become a thing anymore now that 2 million people on Reddit kind of know what the game is?
All right.
Yeah,
it's funny and it's interesting
stuff.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. So yeah, we'll kind of wrap this thing up. Do want to touch on episode 3 coming up pretty soon. We'll be recording that soon. That's going to be a real fun one. Something I think of as one of the signature early episodes of this podcast because of the subject matter. So the tentative title of episode 3 is, Are All of These Video Game Adaptations Gonna Suck? So we've tuned. Yeah, stay tuned. So we're gonna do a lot of fun things in regards to that. We're gonna play a little game, do a little bit of drafting, but definitely stay tuned for episode 3. We're gonna be talking about all of the upcoming video game adaptations to movies and TV, and it's going to be a lot of fun. That we're going to probably have the whole cast or close to it, so strap in for a little bit of a longer episode, and going to have a lot of fun. So before we get out of here, guys, was there anything else you wanted to plug? Anything special?
I'm gonna talk about UA Ball on the next podcast, but
Boom. I mean, slight spoilers, but what are you gonna do?
we're talking about video game adaptations. I think
Teasers.
he's public enemy number one. Let's go.
We're gonna bring Sean Baby back into it. See,
Let's
see
go.
that UA Ball and Sean Baby fight's still gonna happen.
I mean, there were fights.
We'll see. We'll live stream that on the YouTube channel. All right, guys. So we're gonna sign off now with the Machine of Nonsense. For Aaron, Kayla, and Tomas, this is Eric. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. Stay tuned for episode 3, and
Like us.
Like us. Yes,
Comment,
please.
subscribe.
I forgot to say it. Please like our posts. Subscribe to the podcast. Please give us some positive ratings. Give us some feedback if there's anything you don't like about the podcast. Let us know, please. We're gonna try to keep it going and get better every time. So let us know how we can do that. All right, guys. Have a good one now.